episode, Key Major Milestones and Their Explanations. In product development, vocabulary and acronyms are a major part of the job. Let's define some key words that I have used over the ages to describe key major milestones. Forgive me if they are things that you're already familiar with, so here we go. Pre-alpha. Pre-alpha is a milestone that occurs, like it sounds, before tech or product alpha. Pre-alpha represents the stage in development where there is 100% of the product design. It's locked and it is functioning in software. However, there may only be 80% of the assets actually in the game at alpha or shippable quality. Pre-alpha has runtime executables that fit within the retail target platform memory, and it operates at target frame rate. In other words, it performs in the target memory and system as expected. Pre-alpha should include back-end servers, cloud-connected functionality at 100% operation ability. Pre-alpha should include user interface UI flows completely, all functioning. Only minor API, maybe some load support changes should be allowed beyond pre-alpha. Downloadable content or DLC packs, any kind of additional digital content that demonstrates operable code that supports dynamic load and runtime resolution must be proven in pre-alpha if the product is expected to have digital content post-release. Pre-alpha may not have everything finished. Media layout and load time optimization may not be done at all yet. There should, however, be at least a test layout. Maybe ideally a release candidate image had been made even though it's not really an RC release candidate, thus proving that the pipeline and process did work at pre-alpha. Tuning of otherwise finished user interface, control mechanics, accessibility, interaction balancing, experience layout and flow, all of those things should be about halfway done. They don't have to be great, but they should be about halfway done. Of course, final digital content may extend well into beta and even beyond final, depending on your release dates and your digital content roadmap. So let's continue. Pre-alpha should include telemetry and automated test technology fully instrumented in-game with active data collection and analysis and unit tests already operating in software. All planned telemetry should be instrumented between alpha and beta for the final product. 75% of the game should be open for testing, even Easter eggs, with only 25% expected to be completed by alpha. Let's talk about tech alpha now. Tech alpha represents a technology-specific alpha milestone that is expected as a product seeks to exit pre-production and enter production. Tech alpha is needed as part of the technical design review or TDR process to improve development predictability and, frankly, improve the quality of games by proving that the tech and the risks were resolved early on, thereby focusing production on content and polish on top of a stable, at frame rate, fitting in memory, technological experience. It is especially critical that all tech related to the usability, playability, networking and cloud, and hardware be proven before leaving pre-production and entering production, because their failing otherwise is far too great of a risk to proceed. Of course, there may be formal exceptions made and still proceed into production, even with a failed tech alpha. The key here is to make sure that any overhang work into production that was not done as expected for tech alpha will fit within the scope and the capacity of the team and is prioritized over any previously planned feature and engine work. In other words, anything for Tech Alpha that was unfinished must be called a Tech Alpha exception, and it must be finished as soon as possible, ASAP, even if the product is approved to enter production, despite failing Tech Alpha and having overhang work. Some things that are expected at Tech Alpha might include, but are not limited to, all input and interaction play mechanics. Each level, character, object, archetype, fully implemented in software. Representative graphics, sound, and music for all archetypes and areas are proven in shippable quality in software. Network and cloud functionality is fully operational. Runtime executable is stable and runs at frame rate in memory targets. Tech Alpha includes technical director review and native code approvals, any analysis of scripts and real assets approvals. It may not be possible to achieve everything that a Tech Alpha expects within the expected timeline. Therefore, like I said, there will be exceptions. Even worse, there are times that a milestone, a Tech Alpha, will be approved entirely based on corporate politics. Let's try not to go there. Whatever happens, document, schedule, and provide resources and the staff to complete all Tech Alpha exceptions as that overhang work we've discussed, no matter how big or small or how risky or not it is believed to be. Again, document, formalize, and prioritize Alpha overhang work, even if you are entering production with a waiver exception. The Alpha overhang plan should include clear, documented exceptions. It should also include a risk level for those exceptions, 1 to 4. 1 is low risk, 4 is a mega risk. Ideally, Tech Alpha exceptions are only a few things as overhang, not a lot. They should be big things, hopefully, that can be isolated, like maybe a remaining proof of concept of a feature or a proof of tech that isn't pivotal to the long-term experience. The key is managing your risks. You should have a list of dependencies and potential knock-ons that are associated with late deliverables, even if they're called an exception. It should include mitigations and even fallbacks, should it never be achieved. And finally, scheduled overhang tasks with named staff and resources to finish the exceptions. Areas of production that will be impacted by the overhang needs to be identified and related scheduling and resourcing reworked. And yeah, you definitely need to have named real people that everybody knows and trusts to finish the exceptions. And they need to be committed to the product, to its dates, and resolving those exceptions. Named staff need to be formally assigned swiftly to the overhang work so that everyone else on the team will see that there are consequences to missing Alpha, like cutting or reducing scope, lowering quality features, reducing capabilities, losing key staff. Again, there are consequences to the project if completion is further delayed. Content engineering and Tech Alpha exception work may go through production, but they should never go beyond the formal product Alpha. All functionality and proofs of concept and assets should all be integrated and proven before product Alpha, which will also include Tech Alpha. Content work beyond product Alpha typically requires additional data size and performance and corresponding optimization during production work, and so time should be scheduled for all of that and related work. Any time spent on catching up, overhang, anything, is at the expense of something else. That's not an ideal situation to be in, obviously. It would be much better to have spent the time finishing tech alpha and product alphas properly. Letting alpha work overhang into production or finaling puts previous feature work at risk to have been wasted and cut. Let's talk about alpha and its definition. Alpha defines the stage in product development where all features are glued and integrated together. There is one complete holistic meta experience that puts it all together. Alpha includes server and cloud solutions are completely working in software. Alpha requires 90% or more of all assets are in-game and at shippable quality. Alpha requires that product is fully operable to target specifications, fully within target memory operable. It fits completely within data storage. Its networking and cloud hosting, etc., is operating within acceptable lag and latency and bandwidth specifications. It runs at frame rate. It performs as expected. Any scene, screen, level transition, and load times have been proven for all levels and areas and archetypes. 100% of the game is open for testing, including hidden items and Easter eggs. Telemetry and automated testing is fully instrumented in-game, and it uses active data collection and analysis and reporting. As an aside, I have found it compelling and inspirational to have a very big display on the wall near the team that showed the latest analytics and insights so that everyone could see it. It made every part of the journey and solution one thing for everyone to celebrate and be part of. It united the team. Alpha should forecast capacity and expert resources that are needed to do the following: finish any remaining placeholder content or expand variations of areas or archetypes. Tune the game. Iteration should not be needed during alpha. Debug the product according to domain and area bug fix area rates versus QA bug forecast counts. Identify features or areas that need iteration beyond alpha. Note that if QA concurs that iteration is needed or not, and have the executive producer involved to make final calls. Let's talk about tuning and content lock briefly. Tuning and content lock is critical to finishing the product. There comes a time when tuning and balancing and tweaking must come to an end. Tuning and content lock follows alpha, usually within a few weeks, at most a month, often halfway to beta. Tuning and content lock is a sub-milestone that denotes the shift from tuning, content, and localization refinement to full-on, pure bug-fixing ship-this-game mode. It's now time to talk about pre-beta as a milestone. Pre-beta is what it sounds like, a milestone that occurs before the beta milestone. It usually occurs 1 to 2 weeks prior to beta and represents the team's belief that the game is ready to be declared beta. The team is convinced that there are no longer any bugs in the game, but is affording itself a little bit of time to catch up should they be proven mistaken. Pre-beta occurs prior to game beta and represents the stage in development where 100% of the game is functioning in software. 100% of all assets are in software and at shippable quality. The product at runtime runs and fits 100% in all memory at target frame rate and with network communication lag, latency, bandwidth, and packet loss. The product is at or approaching 0 bugs and has all pre-certifications, age certifications, whatever is required. It has a back-end server, cloud-connected functionality, 100% operable. It is verified not to be using debug or otherwise unrelievable libraries. And finally, pre-beta software must support live digital content. And so it must have sample or test downloadable content, DLC, or digital packs that can be downloaded and resolved at runtime, proving that in fact that tech has been implemented and works. And finally, we're here at beta, the real beta milestone. Beta is formally declared by quality assurance, usually not by the development product team. The product team developed pre-beta and declared it. They may have developed a beta milestone, but quality assurance declares it's beta. QA will declare when it has 0 must-fix bugs. QA will be responsible to ensure all certifications and age verifications have been confirmed and approved. For beta, all quality assurance telemetry must be turned off. It must be disabled. QA testing should move to a staging server or cloud interface, a separate space from development that is also not live at retail. Beta is where release candidates, or RCs, may be declared. RCs, release candidates, must operate without any must-fix bugs for a reasonably long usage duration. The idea is the product must deliver a good experience without any must-fix issues for, say, 200 hours of continuous use. Releasing products without passing the RC 200-hour countdown often results in disaster and lost jobs. Release candidate RC countdowns start typically a 200-hour or 2-day drop, depends on the product and the team. RC countdowns reset completely to the original 200-hour or 2-day countdown start when a single must-fix bug is found. When the RC countdown touches 0 must-fix bugs, then the product is ready to be submitted for final platform device manufacturing, review, and hopefully production to release to the consumer. While waiting for QA to approve the final product from beta, there is a lot of time that the team might use for other housekeeping opportunities. We'll talk about a lot of those in a future episode. My point is, don't lose opportunity, especially while the knowledge is hot and fresh in the team's mind. So let's talk about the final milestone. Yes, final. With quality assurance approval of a 0 must-fix bug product build, the product is finally sent to the target platform or manufacturer for final production, certification, and release. They, however, may find problems. And if so, once again, you will fix them and start the 200-hour countdown until you're ready to resubmit another final RC build. Once you have finished final and certification, manufacturing, everyone's happy, you're in production, you're ready to go. Remind yourself, it's not time for a vacation. That would be premature. You're not done yet. There remains a done milestone. Final was not the end. Please note, it is often that dev teams have a lot of work to do despite being done. So let me explain what done really means. Done is not being done with the product. Done is being done with the project. It means finalizing documentation, archiving the complete project and tools, source, interim, final code, and interim builds, libraries, binaries, process data. You have post-mortems that you can be doing and should be doing. You should be working against project technical debt, hacks and shunts and things that you just shoved out there that should not have been released, but did get a 0 bug release. So I guess it should have been done, but needs to be fixed or refactored. You could harvest code, tools, and assets for future products or just reuse elsewhere. Well, that's a lot. I hope with these definitions of key milestones that things will be easier to discuss and understand and quantify going forward. With shared vocabulary and understanding, we will travel and we will triumph.